She was drunk when it slipped out of her mouth. I was never attracted to you, and I can't stop seeing other men. And while she slept it off, I decided there was nothing left worth saying. By dawn, I was gone. No letter, no scene, no goodbye. My name is Mark, and all my life I believed almost anything could be fixed by just working harder. Head down, grind, and the rest lines up. That's how I was raised, and that's how I ran my marriage. For years, my days blurred into calendars and calls. I'd leave before traffic and come home after emails. So worn down, I barely did more than kiss my wife goodnight. I told myself it was for us, that the time I was spending was an investment, that I was building peace so she'd never worry. When I wasn't at work, I was still thinking about her. How to make things easier, how to make her smile, how to give her the life I thought she deserved. On trips, I brought small gifts. On weekends, I booked little escapes to make up for all the weekdays I missed. It was never perfect, but I believed she understood that love isn't flawless. It's steady, it shows up, it tries. Looking back, maybe I confused working more with loving better, and I didn't know the difference then. But recently something in our house felt off. She barely looked at me. At first I called it new marriage growing pains. We were only 2 years in, and routines settled differently for everyone. Underneath, I knew something was wrong. I just didn't want to face what my gut already knew. So I told myself she was stressed, or tired, or just in a loop I could help her out of if I tried harder. I believed effort could pull anything back. I was wrong, very wrong. When the distance between us turned into silence, I decided to try anyway. I thought a real dinner might reset the tone. Maybe it was naive. I still believe trying matters. I spent an afternoon making her favorite, chicken parm with garlic mash, the same thing I made after our first date. I set candles, dimmed the lights to a soft glow, and cued a playlist of slow tracks she used to hum. It was my way of saying, I see you, I miss you, and I'm here. When she walked in, surprise flickered in her eyes. Wow, she said, taking in the table. For a second, I thought I saw gratitude, like the memory of who we'd been. She kissed my cheek, sat down, and smiled. We ate. Conversation loosened. She teased me that I was the better cook, and laughed in a way I hadn't heard in months. For that small stretch, I let myself believe we could find our way back. After the third glass of wine, it came apart. It started small, a slack in her posture, slower words, a careless ease in her face. I didn't think much of it until she set the glass down and said, "You're a nice guy. You make sure I'm okay. That's why I'm here." I froze, even as I kept my voice flat. "What do you mean?" She gave a soft laugh with a pity edge. "I mean, I've never really been attracted to you, not like that." The words hit hard enough to leave a ringing in my ears. She didn't stop. "You're sweet, gentle, safe," she went on, chin propped on her palm. Like she was swapping stories. "But you're not my type." Then she described her type, rougher, darker, a man who bends rules, everything I'm not. And as if that wasn't enough, she added, "When I met him, my type, I just couldn't resist." One thing led to another. And let the rest dangle. She didn't need to finish. I heard all of it in what she didn't say. I sat there, nodding like an idiot, while my wife emptied out a bag of truths that broke something I thought was built to hold. My chest felt tight. Breathing felt like a choice. I kept my face still. On the outside, I looked calm. Inside, something cracked and then went quiet. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't even remorse. It was a drunk explanation handed to me like a favor. Right then, I understood I didn't need to argue or plead. I just needed to let her finish and choose my next step without giving her a sparring match she could twist into a reason. When I went to bed, there was no question left to solve. Her sentences kept replaying, how I wasn't her type, how I was a safe place she tolerated, how she'd found what she wanted elsewhere. What cut deepest wasn't the cheating. It was the casual way she said it, like reading a label. Lying in the dark, listening to her sleep the wine off. I felt no anger anymore, only clarity. Fighting wouldn't change a thing. She'd already told me who she was. Giving her a confrontation would only give her a stage. She hadn't earned a fight. She hadn't earned closure. What she'd earned was a life where I wasn't there to cushion the ground. By sunrise, I knew exactly what to do. I wouldn't be there when she opened her eyes. I'm not impulsive by nature. I move when I'm sure. That morning, I left the house the same quiet way I always did. Calm, ordinary. Only this time I didn't intend to come back. First, I called my attorney. I asked him to draft the divorce and include what was needed to cut clean. Next, I called my accountant. He's efficient, and within hours he began liquidating our jointly held investments, moving my portion under my control while the accounts closed out. By day's end, the balances were zeroed out, and my assets were parked where she couldn't reach. Then I called my family. I didn't unload the whole story. They didn't need it. I was clear about one thing. Don't feed her information. Don't pass messages. Don't tell her where I am. If she called, they were to say nothing. I wanted the weight of her choices to land without cushions or spotters. Last, I left an instruction with my lawyer to deliver a concise message when she tried to contact me. She would receive a petition. No explanations, no excuses. Just the reality she created, signed in black ink. A few weeks later, she was served. I heard through counsel that she called, emailed, even showed up at the office looking for a why. I didn't reply. What could I say that wasn't already in her own words at our table? At first, she balked at signing. Maybe she thought she could drag it out. Or maybe she just didn't want to let go of the stability I'd built around us. When she saw the settlement numbers, she folded fast. I wasn't surprised. She's always been consistent about her priorities. And just like that, the paperwork closed and the chapter ended. When I left that marriage, I wasn't thinking about where she would land. I wanted distance from the lies, the contempt, and the way she treated me like furniture in my own life. Let her have what she said she wanted. Let her chase what she kept describing. For a while, it looked like she was living the story she'd rehearsed. Free, single, secured by the payout, nights out, new outfits, and the same carousel of men who always appear when there's nothing at stake. I heard she joked that she finally got the life she deserved. People like her rarely think past the weekend. They mistake freedom for absence of consequence. That tab always finds the table. One of those choices circled back with a price. She got pregnant. I learned it through someone who can't help bringing me updates I don't ask for. It wasn't planned. The father disappeared as soon as the word baby entered the room. No calls, no messages, just gone. By the time the child arrived, the settlement money was gone too. She burned through it like dry leaves, debt stacked up. She sold the house, hers by then, and it was the last physical thing left that tied back to what we'd had. Her friends? They were the same kind she'd always drawn, fine for the party, absent for the cleanup. When she started asking for money, help with the baby, or even a couch to cry on, they faded, one by one. Even the best stories can't hold attention when the bills come due. She'd gotten the version of freedom she'd wanted and discovered what it cost. She didn't lose anything she valued. She lost everything she never bothered to value. I didn't feel sorry for her. I wasn't somewhere gloating either. I just didn't care. She was a closed file. Some people think they're escaping a bad room when they're sprinting toward a wall. She hit it, and there was no one standing behind her to catch the fall. Years passed. I rebuilt, not loudly, not for show, just steadily. My life isn't flawless. It's mine. Then one day, she found me. I was home by the window, a book open, when the bell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened the door, and there she was. She looked like herself, composed, well put together, carrying that practiced confidence I used to mistake for strength. Her eyes searched my face for an invitation to speak. I didn't offer one. She started anyway, voice catching. "I've been trying to find you for years," she said quietly. I need to tell you I'm sorry. I made a terrible mistake and I've paid for it every day." She waited for me to say something. I leaned on the door and let the silence do the rest. "I thought I could have everything," she went on, hands trembling. "I thought I could find excitement and still keep you. I didn't realize what I had until it was gone." She poured it all out: failed relationships, empty accounts, the loneliness, the pregnancy that became a one-person job. Tears ran, and she said, "Please, I need you. I never stopped needing you." I met her eyes to make sure she understood this wasn't a conversation. It was a conclusion. "You made your choice," I said, calm. "You were never attracted to me. Remember? I wasn't your type. So go find your type and see if he wants you now." She flinched like the words carried weight. I didn't stop. "I don't care what you regret or how much it hurt. That belongs to you, not me. Don't show up here again." I stepped back, closed the door, and walked away without a second thought. I didn't need her sorrow, her reasons, or her late realization. That story was over. There was nothing worth reopening. As I walked down the hall, I thought about the man I had become. Losing her shredded me in ways I didn't know were possible. It also forced me to build something new where the torn parts had been. Sometimes the only gift you owe a person who betrays you is your absence. Sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is leave without looking back. In losing her, I found myself. That was the only closure I ever needed. So let me ask something of anyone who hears this and sees their own kitchen table. What would you have done? Be honest. You plan a dinner to try to light a spark, and the person who vowed a lifetime with you sips wine and says you were never their type, and then casually outlines the men behind your back. Do you fight for a person who doesn't value you, or do you walk? I won't tell anyone what to do, but here's what I learned the hardest way there is. If someone shows you they don't respect you, stop explaining away their disrespect. Don't let their indifference carve chunks out of your worth. People treat you how you allow them to. Let them step once, and they'll step again. Leaving is hard. It's messy. It's lonely. But think past the first week. Being alone is far better than being with someone who makes you feel like you're not enough. And when you finally step out from a house where you're unseen, you open a door, maybe to a better love, maybe just to peace inside your own skin. Either way, it's worth opening. Thanks for listening.